out, everybody.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lights Out Halloween Especial. I'm yours truly, Father Marin. And I am joined... Jesus! I am joined by a literal demon.
My name's Reagan.
It's terrifying, but...
Josh won't even look me in the eye.
I don't even want to look at you today. It's... I'm not going to lie. You look insanely creepy.
It's fun because the eye holes are just a little bit off, so I look really uncanny.
It's definitely giving Michael Myers energy.
Yeah. Also, I was saying I can hear my breathing in my mask really loud, so it's like those first-person shots in the Halloween movies.
You look good, though.
Thank you.
You look good.
Thank you. Not as good as you, man.
Oh, no. This is, I like to think this is me in a alternate universe,
yeah.
You know?
This is multiverse Josh.
Bless. So we have Reagan from The Exorcist.
Yep, one of the best.
Possessed by a demon by the name of Pazuzu, which we all know and love here at Lights Out, of course. Not scared of it at all. But then, by the end of this, I may go out the window behind these cameras here. So, but we are joined by the one and only Damien Thorne.
Hi, I'm Damien.
Oh my gosh.
We love it. No, go back. Let people take you in, Damien.
Hey.
The Antichrist himself.
I'm the devil.
Watch out.
Ooh, spooky.
So people were calling his bob. They were saying what, a fuck ass haircut.
It's a fuck ass bob.
yeah.
This is like the Gen Z version of Damien Thorne.
Just, I'm the devil.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Well, you might be wondering why we are the way that we are today.
I'm always wondering that.
Yeah.
I'm just
What else to do?
accepting
What else to do? But we are taking a look at some of the most cursed films ever created in Hollywood. And it's terrifying because there have been a lot of bad shit, bad omens, you say, deaths, murders, accidents.
You can't look me in the eyes. Look at me. Look me in the eyes.
Oh,
Fear me.
look at it.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm going back to my religious roots today.
Yeah, he is.
I actually have a third-class relic here.
Yeah,
This
that
is
thing's
actually,
beautiful.
it has a COA on the back of it.
Wait, I don't know if I'm getting just
Careful,
a
you might
yeah,
start
it might
sizzling.
burn me actually. Ah! The gemstones in there. I just noticed that.
Yeah, this is legit. This is touched to relics of our Lord, including the true cross, holy shroud, holy nail, holy sepulchre, purple robe, seamless tunic, stone from Mount Calvary, holy stairs, holy sponge, and table from the Last Supper,
Wow.
which is kind of...
How is that possible?
I
How do we have
know.
those items?
I don't know. And it's been touched by a lot of people high up in the clergy for sure. Signed, even. So be careful. Stay back.
Yeah, I should.
Stay back.
And you have some holy water over there, if I remember
In
correctly.
case you get thirsty.
Yeah.
I got to keep this demon in check here.
Yep.
But of course, you know, this plays off of our episode last week. We talked about the exorcism of Roland Doe.
Yeah.
And, you know, how the Exorcist, the movie, was basically inspired by this real life story that took place of one of the most violent exorcisms and demonic possessions I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Lasted like a month, too.
Yeah. Just went on and on and on. So maybe you've seen The Exorcist, the original, by the way.
Yes.
One of the scariest movies of all time. I think that it's called that by many because it still, I think, holds up today.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, definitely pop that bad boy in your VCR and give it a watch, because it's a good one if you can find it on VCR. But we're also going to be talking about Rosemary's Baby. That was a one I hadn't heard of prior to this episode, and had to check that out a little bit. And different kind of horror movie for sure.
Yeah, it's like a social horror.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele for Get Out was very inspired by Rosemary's Baby. It's considered kind of a classic in the sphere of like, we're afraid of each other.
Right.
Rather than just like afraid of this paranormal demonic presence.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's actually your neighbor you should be afraid of.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, finding out that you've brought a baby into the world with Satan's help. That's
not a fun journey.
No, not a fun journey at all. And of course, with Damien here, there's obviously lots of terrible things that have come out of the making of the Omen. Not of which that is his hair. His beautiful haircut over there.
You don't like my haircut? My mom did it. She got a bowl.
Yeah, you're like an age progressed. You're like if
I
Damien...
fell into the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
You're a stunted Damien is what you are.
So yeah, maybe you know some of this history, maybe you don't. But there is lots of death, lots of tragedy, and just lots of terrifier. There's lots of terrifier stories that come out of these different movies. So
let's drop in.
Let's drop into it. I meant to just have a dash of holy water. Oh, right.
Now, get that away from me.
Down.
Curse you.
Down, boy. This is just hang on with us. All right. This is this is gonna be a wild one.
This is gonna be the scariest episode yet.
Yeah, and for people that are listening, this is the Halloween episodes are just ones that you got to watch, right? If you're listening, you're probably like, "Why does Austin sound so?"
Yeah, apologies beforehand. I'm wearing this fuck ass latex mask, so it's hard to talk through. It's hard to see out of. It smells bad. I can't hear anything. All my senses are deprived.
I can see that.
I don't.
It's troubling. I'm literally looking over at Reagan over here, and then behind you is Val. I have Valak's eyes peering over your head, and then I have this guy. Yeah. All right, let's drop in. Let's drop in. Before you tune out, let's drop in. So we got to talk about one of the most iconic horror movies of all time, The Exorcist, which is possibly one of the most cursed films ever made. So for those that haven't seen it, it's a movie made in 1973, you know, the golden age of movie making, right? And it follows the events of a possessed 12-year-old girl, which is interesting that they went 12-year-old girl for this. Why do they have to go with a child?
I think it's just the vulnerability of a child.
Yeah. Well, I guess with Roland Doe, 13-year-old.
Yeah, it wasn't that far off.
So the 12-year-old girl that's possessed in The Exorcist is Reagan McNeil. And the story is inspired, as we talked about, by the true possession and haunting of Roland Doe. And if you didn't watch the episode, that'd probably be a good one to watch before this one, because there's a lot of connection there, right? But this movie became one of the most violent and graphic depictions of demonic possession most moviegoers had ever seen at the time. And some theaters even handed out barf bags to the audience while they waited in line.
I'm gonna need one too.
Yeah. There's a lot of there's a lot of very grotesque scenes in The Exorcist.
Yeah, including one of the most famous, which is a vomiting scene.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's what kind of set people off. Or you ever see people throw up or like they're about to, and
yeah,
you kind of feel it too. I
watched him vomit off the back of a boat in Costa Rica, 2 feet away.
It's kind of a chain.
It's rough. Yeah,
thing,
it's
right?
like
you smell too.
Yeah. Oh, I'll never forget that. That's a memory I'll never forget. But I mean, imagine at the time, like these movies that exist today, really weren't around. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like so many of us are seeing so many horror movies, and now there's extreme horror, and nothing phases us anymore. Really.
Right, yeah.
You know,
I also hope that was a part of the theatrics too. You know how like just the fact that they're handing out barf bags will kind of psych you out, like while you're
Get
in
ready.
line.
Yeah. You're getting nauseous.
Right.
That movie theater popcorn, man. You gotta be careful. It'll get to you. But there were audience members that actually passed out, vomited, even suffered heart attacks. And this just blew my mind. But one woman even miscarried during a screening in New York, which is horribly tragic. I mean, oh my God. The New York Times reported that the same theater where the miscarriage took place, soon after The Exorcist opened, an usher at the movie theater fell under a subway train and lost an arm.
Damn.
That is brutal. And then the mother of a cashier died. Another woman fainted and broke her jaw during a screening. She then tried to sue Warner Brothers, which is the studio that made the film, and the suit claimed that the film had subliminal messages that caused her to faint, which is wild. Because I think people really thought this was like diabolical. Like this is like there's something evil.
Like the devil is in the movie.
Yes, absolutely. And Warner Brothers settled out of court because obviously they didn't want that bad publicity, right?
Right.
But after the release of The Exorcist, panic spread across religious communities.
Oh yeah, here you go.
Hence, being a father of clergy, of the Catholic Church, and even Christians. Televangelist Billy Graham said the devil is in every frame of this film, which is kind of an iconic quote for the film. To have Billy Graham say that about it.
That's probably like the best marketing you can get.
For a horror movie? Absolutely.
Right?
And Father Tom Birmingham, a technical advisor for the film, was asked to attend a premiere screening in case anyone needed spiritual counseling after watching the film. Wow.
Boy.
So, huge impact. The curse rumors began when during one premiere in Rome, close to a movie theater where the movie was being shown, a church was struck by lightning. This added to the fear that the devil himself had worked his way into the film. Because it's kind of, I mean, it's so hard because I go back and forth and I'm like, if the devil's real or negative entities are real, or if there's really something paranormal out there, right?
Can it affect artwork?
Can it affect work that's about it?
Right.
In turn affecting you consuming it? And that's something that, like, obviously there's no definitive answer to, but I tend to believe, because it's like, there's movies such as The Exorcist and other, especially modern day movies, where it invokes so much dread in you. Have you've seen a movie where you're just like, you walk away from that and you're like, am I kind of fucked up for watching that?
Hereditary was kind of like that for me. I felt just empty after that movie.
Yeah.
Yet fulfilled because it's a great movie. But I'm just like, oh my God.
But you're left like soulless in a way, like just left or Terrifier. Just watching that, I just felt like I'm a disgusting piece of shit watching this. Like, what am I doing? Like, this is.
There's this really cool movie called Funny Games. Michael Haneke directed it. And it gets, without spoiling anything, it gets a bit meta where they're kind of looking at you through the lens of the camera and you almost become complicit in what's carrying out on film. And so it shames the viewer. No, it's, I know. I can't talk. I'm trying to talk cinema over here.
You're recommending movies to me, right? Yeah. No, sorry, go ahead.
But it makes you, the viewer, feel complicit. Like if you continue to watch this movie, you're complicit in all the terrible things that are about to happen. It's a great watch because it kind of touches on that concept of like, yeah, why are we consuming this type of stuff?
Yeah, why are we? Why do we even do this show? What are we doing? Halloween is already upon us, which means in just a few short months, the holidays will be here. Christmas is here very soon, and it's not too early to start shopping for gifts. And maybe you're tired of buying gift cards for those family members or just getting the old boring gifts that you find at the big box stores. Well, look no further for unique gifts you will find nowhere else than Uncommon Goods, because they make holiday shopping stress-free, joyful even, with all sorts. I mean, I'm talking thousands of one-of-a-kind gifts you will not find elsewhere I'll definitely be doing some shopping this holiday season on Uncommon Goods because you can find things like there's this create your own video game set, which introduces young gamers to the world of coding with a console that builds and runs retro arcade games. Only $90. It looks sweet too. I've never seen anything like this. Yeah, kids as young as 8 get introduced to the world of coding through programming languages like JavaScript and Python with this free web-based beginner-friendly visual editor. How cool is that? They also have so many things that can be personalized, customized for yours truly. Pets even, home decor, you name it. Uncommon Goods has got it covered for you.
They got a menorah? It's a banana menorah?
That's incredible. From book lovers to history buffs, even diehard football fans, they have got so many cool things on there. They support artists and small independent businesses with many of their products actually being handcrafted even. And they're made in small batches, so once they sell out, they sell out. And then with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. Really, there's no reason why you shouldn't check out Uncommon Goods because we also have a special code for you.
So shop early, have fun, and cross some names off your list today. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/lightsout. That's uncommongoods.com/lightsout for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary.
But word soon got out that bizarre events surrounded the production of The Exorcist. Even before filming began, countless things went absolutely nuts. Director William Friedkin later told the horror magazine Castle Frankenstein in 1974, quote, "I'm not a convert to the occult, but after all I've seen on this film, I definitely believe in demonic possession. There are things that cannot be treated by medical or psychiatric means. It seems strange, foreign, and impossible, but it exists. We were plagued by strange and sinister things from the beginning. It is simply the hardest thing I have ever done in my life."
Damn.
Which that's heavy.
That is.
That's heavy words. In the very beginning of the production, the cast and crew traveled to just outside of Mosul, Iraq, to shoot the opening scene, if you've watched it, where a priest takes part in an archaeological dig and finds a stone statue. The statue, standing 15 feet tall, looks like a winged being with a very concerned kind of devious face. And it resembled Pazuzu, the Mesopotamian king of demons. And this is also the demon that ultimately ends up possessing Reagan. But when they planned to film the scene, the statue mysteriously never arrived in Iraq. It was built in Burbank, California, but somehow ended up in Denmark instead of Iraq, which,
wow.
How do you mess that up?
Yeah, right.
God. So the production ended up having to be delayed by 3 or 4 weeks. So right off the bat, and people tell us on the shows, like, you start talking about demons, man, careful. Start creating statues of them. Careful.
Yep. You pretend to be possessed by a demon.
Careful.
Yeah. But not only that, but this movie took over 200 days to film. That is a very long time for a production. To put that into perspective, I think Hereditary took like 32 days. Ari Aster's really quick he knows everything he wants, and he has everything scheduled perfectly. So 200 days, that's a long time to be committed to a movie. But right as the production prep began, a fire broke out on the set of the fictional family's home, which was built inside of this big warehouse. The entire set burned to the ground, leaving only one bedroom standing. And this was built a bit further away from the main house set. But what was preserved was actually Reagan's bedroom, where many of the movie's most horrific scenes, including the exorcism itself, takes place. And for that house, it took the crew 6 weeks to rebuild the rest of that set. Firefighters discovered the fire had been caused by just one pigeon flying into a light box. That burned the whole thing down. Here's William Friedkin talking about that fire.
It was that long to rebuild we had to rebuild the entire set. And the insurance company paid off on the basis that because it was an old building, there were pigeons flying around in the rafters, a pigeon flew into a light box, causing a short circuit and thus the fire. That's the only thing that happened during the entire film that I thought was some kind of bad karma.
And reportedly, the whole production needed its own exorcism at one point, or at least a blessing. And Father Tom Birmingham, who we mentioned earlier, he was the technical advisor for the film. He was actually asked by William Friedkin to perform an exorcism on the set. Apparently, a carpenter working on the set lost one of his thumbs, and a lighting technician lost one of his toes. But Father Birmingham told Friedkin that an exorcism was not necessary, and it would only increase panic surrounding the production. But after they had that meeting, the day after, the set burned to the ground. So Father Birmingham then blessed the set, the crew, and the production, and he said a few words to the cast and crew to kind of put them at ease. But the odd events were only just beginning. And another morning during production, the cast and crew came into the studio and noticed the exact opposite thing had happened to the set. Instead of a fire, there was this bizarre thin layer of snow covering the indoor set because they were using 3 massive refrigeration units. Director William Friedkin actually wanted to lower the temperature to 30 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit every morning to emphasize the actor's breath in scenes when the demonic possession was worsening. So it would warm up a bit during the day, but people were just freezing cold inside the studio while they were acting. And these freezing temperatures mimicked real-life encounters with the paranormal. We've seen this a million times on the podcast, right? Temperature fluctuations, especially cold spots, as they're called, where many witnesses, they complain of just a big temperature drop out of nowhere. Some couldn't explain the light snow across the set since it was covered in this snow, but many figured it might have just been frozen condensation. These absurdly cold temps also showed how intense it was just to work on this set. William Friedkin it seems like he was willing to kind of subject people to some serious stuff here. And if anyone knew how difficult it was to work on the film, it was actually one of the lead actresses, Ellen Burstyn. She played Reagan's mother during filming. She was seriously injured. She actually landed on her spine, like her tailbone, during this scene. You might recognize this scene. It comes from, I believe it's the same scene where Reagan's head turns 360, like around her head, and she's kind of fighting with her daughter. But here's Ellen Burstyn talking about that incident.
I had a rig around my midriff with a wire coming out the back, and the stuntman was pulling me.
So we took her back the first time, and it was a good shot. And Billy said, we're going to do it again.
I said, Billy, he's pulling me too hard. I can get hurt. And Billy said, well, it has to look real. I said, I understand, but I'm telling you, I could get hurt.
Damn.
And the stuntman was standing there listening to this, and Billy said to him, okay, don't pull her so hard. But as I turned away, I felt them exchange a look.
And he said, give it to her this time. And I said, really? And he says, give it to her. And this is Ellen Burstyn, right? You're a nice lady. And so I said, okay. So when I hauled off, she came completely off her feet.
You see me hit and you see me reach for my back. I screamed in horrendous pain. Billy motioned to Owen to tilt the camera down on me. And I saw it and I was so furious and said, turn the effing camera off, because I couldn't stand that he was willing to just get a quick shot of it before they called the ambulance,
Ellen didn't like it too well, and she went to see her chiropractor, and chiropractor said, you're all right. Just a couple of days, you'll get over the soreness. But that's show business, I guess.
It was way beyond what anyone needs to do to make a movie.
I agree.
She did not like that.
Yeah.
Especially if you go and ask and they're like, yeah, no problem. Fucking rip it out. Like, come on.
So that was the 4th take. And yeah, she landed on her tailbone. She said that from then on, she always had trouble with her back. So this was maybe some permanent chronic pain here. But this was the only major injury on set to a cast member during filming, but others involved in The Exorcist mysteriously died during or soon after production.
Because according to actress Ellen Burstyn, 9 people involved with the movie died. One of these included the death of actor Jack McGowan. He played Burke Dennings, a director who dies on screen. And shortly after completing his work on the movie, but while the film was actually still in production, Jack went to New York City to act in the play The Plow and the Stars. And he suddenly died at age 54 from the flu during the London flu epidemic of 1972 and 73.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy, actually. Wow. You don't hear that often people dying from the flu, but
No.
Then 89-year-old Vasiliki Malaros, who played the mother of Father Carreras, also died of natural causes during the production. Actors Linda Blair and Max von Sydow also lost family members during the production. According to Ellen Burstyn, one of the Exorcist's assistant cameramen had a wife who gave birth to a newborn during the production, but they lost the child soon after. Another man who worked on controlling the set temperature also passed away, and a young security guard who worked at the studio also died during production. That's a lot of deaths.
Yeah.
Especially just people directly connected to this project. Joe Hyams, the movie's publicist, later said, "These weren't casualties from stunts or things like that. These were men standing behind the camera and all of a sudden dropping dead." One of the most disturbing events connected to The Exorcist came from the family of Mercedes McCambridge. She recorded the iconic voice of the demon that came out of Regan while possessed. Before recording her lines, Mercedes swallowed raw eggs, chain smoked, and drank whiskey to get the most grating and horrifying voice she could. And Austin prepared that exact way today. Can you imagine?
Yeah, it's really, it's freaky in the movie too. It kind of became pretty iconic for that. And when I listen to people talk about this movie, a lot of the one element people bring up often is the voice of Regan while she's possessed.
Yeah, that's dedication.
Yeah.
Right there. William Friedkin also tied her to a chair during the recording, so it sounded like the demon was struggling against the restraints. Her work was considered the icing on the cake for the possessed performance, although she had to battle Friedkin to get her name in the credits, which is like, come on.
Yeah, right? So apparently he wanted to build this illusion that it was just the actual girl doing the voice, but it's like, we know it's overdubbed. I think she had to reach out to like SAG-AFTRA or whatever her union was just to get her name in the credits. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, that's crazy. Like anybody would have actually cared.
Right, yeah.
If he just put her in there in the beginning.
Right.
The horrifying events would come years later. In 1987, her son John Markle had been charging trading losses to a secret account he had opened illegally in Mercedes' name. He was later fired from his investment firm, and the scheme became public. And soon after, John Markle killed his wife and 2 daughters and then committed suicide. Another horrific murderer connected to the film was Paul Bateson, a radiographer who appeared briefly in the film as a radiologic technologist. And this scene is sometimes considered the most disturbing to people who fear blood, considering the amount of blood that was used. William Friedkin wanted Paul in the film after he saw him perform a cerebral angiography, which shows blood vessels in the brain, since he thought it looked disturbing. Which, okay. Then in 1979, Paul Bateson was convicted of murdering a film industry journalist, 36-year-old Addison Verrill. He was also implicated in the bag murders in New York City, which were the serial killings of 6 gay men in Manhattan. Friedkin had visited Paul in jail, where he allegedly confessed to being involved in the murders, and this later inspired Friedkin to make the movie Cruising, starring Al Pacino. Beyond the horrifying fatalities surrounding The Exorcist, other problems, of course, plagued its cast and crew. After the movie came out, Linda Blair, who played the young Regan McNeil, was harassed by angry Christian fanatics. Thinking that Linda was glorifying the depiction of Satan, several people sent her death threats when she was only 15 years old, which is, of course, very Christian of them.
Right.
Warner Brothers ended up having to hire bodyguards for her for 6 months out of fear that a religious zealot would harm her.
It's not ridiculous.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Calm down, guys.
Yeah, it's a movie.
Also, like, glorifying the depiction of Satan, that is not what that movie does. It looks terrifying.
Yeah.
How is that glorifying it?
This is fun. You definitely want to do this. If anything, it should scare you, make you go to church.
Right.
Do the opposite.
Which it kind of did, actually.
Yeah. But despite the bizarre circumstances surrounding the film, it wasn't all bad luck because The Exorcist went on to be a box office hit. It was also the first horror film nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture and also nominated for 9 more, winning Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Sound. And it also went on to inspire a slew of other movies involving demonic possession and exorcism. So all those movies that you're a fan of,
Yeah.
you can thank The Exorcist for.
This is it.
Paving the way, man.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite movies are demonic possession.
Yeah,
Exorcism,
they're awesome.
The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I think I mentioned it last week. Great film.
Yeah. I remember when that came out.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. Also, yeah, a horror movie getting nominated for Academy Awards, let alone like winning some.
Like
You-
unheard of.
You never see that. It's like impossible to make a horror movie that's acknowledged by the Academy.
Are you tired of planning, cooking, shopping for your meals every single week?
Yes.
I think we all are. I know I am too. And I don't do it anymore. I don't do it. I haven't been to a grocery store in 8 years. No, that's a lie. I definitely have.
Holy hell.
But I avoid the grocery store like
Like the plague?
the plague. Well, Hungry Root, man, they take the devil out of cooking. And you just cook some heavenly recipes that are so, so delicious. And best of all, they take 15 minutes or less. You heard that right. It is so easy. I was shocked when I first got a Hungry Root meal because I was expecting what all those other meal kits give you. It takes, they're like, oh, be ready in 30 minutes or less. No, it takes like an hour to get a meal done. But for real, Hungry Root's like 3 steps.
Yep.
3
Honest to
steps.
God.
Yeah. It's amazing. They have so many different delicious recipes. I'm a big fan of the lemon pepper chicken and cilantro lime rice, but they have you covered for high protein, gut friendly, basically any dietary restrictions you have, they can make it happen. They have takeout alternatives. I mean, the variety is endless. Let's just put it that way. You can never run out of recipes. They're constantly updating them. There's 1,000+ recipes that are ready in minutes. You can also get groceries. You can get snacks. You can get kids meals. So you can basically just eliminate all your grocery shopping and just do it all through Hungry Root. And they have a great algorithm that really does a good job at like actually customizing your meals for you the longer that you do it with them. You can customize individual ingredients, serving sizes, you name it. Hungry Root gives you ultimate control over the meals you put on your table, and it's just so easy.
So take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/lightsout and use code lightsout. That's hungryroot.com/lightsout, code lightsout to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life.
hungryroot.com/lightsout, code lightsout.
While Father Thomas Birmingham worked as the technical consultant on The Exorcist, he had expressed some concerns about working on the movie because he feared it would be, quote, another Rosemary's Baby. So the 1968 movie was not only horrific for its subject matter, but it also had a reputation for a curse of its own. First and foremost, the most horrific element of Rosemary's Baby is its director, Roman Polanski. If you're familiar with him, you already know this guy is a terrible person. In 1977, he actually drugged and raped a 13-year-old girl. He pled guilty to a lesser charge before fleeing the country, fleeing the U.S., and he spent decades abroad without being extradited to the U.S. for sentencing. He's still out there. And he's also been making movies too, as well. He has continued to make movies, including The Pianist in 2002, which everybody loved. He even won the Academy Award for Best Director.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This was a well-known thing by the time he made this movie. Many famous actors in the U.S. continued to work with him for years until recent history, when Hollywood finally began distancing itself from him after the big Me Too movement, several years ago. So it's crazy to me that people were willing to look the other way just to be in the project with Roman Polanski, because he's arguably a great director, but it's like, holy hell, guys, we had to finally have the Me Too movement just to get people to stop working with him. It's wild. He's actually one of only 5 people to ever be expelled from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. This also includes actor Carmine Caridi, cinematographer Adam Kimmel, obviously Harvey Weinstein, and Bill Cosby, 2 big names on there. Will Smith actually resigned in 2022, 5 days after that infamous Chris Rock slap, which I'm sure all of us saw the day after, if not the day of. So 1968, this is a big year for Hollywood. The year that Rosemary's Baby released marked a big turning point in Hollywood because the Hays Code, or the Motion Picture Production Code, had finally ended. This was a set of self-imposed industry guidelines from 1934 to 1968, and these guidelines basically set the moral code of Hollywood out of fear of things like government censorship or, losing their dollar bill after investing in a big movie. They didn't want to lose any of that. So some of these are really fun if we want to look into these a bit more. Declared things like excessive and lustful kissing, lustful embraces, suggestive postures, and gestures are not to be shown. Beyond this, it is just a huge laundry list of things that you either needed to be extremely careful about or not show at all. Brutal killings, murders, revenge, theft, robbery, safecracking. They should not be detailed in method. The use of firearms should be restricted to essentials. If you go back and watch the old movies, right, they are very careful about a lot of these things. You watch the Dick Van Dyke Show, the married couple is sleeping in separate twin beds. Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh, such a different time, man.
Yeah. Vulgarity, obscenity, profanity all had to be kept in check. Pointed profanity. This includes the words God, Lord, Jesus, Christ, unless used reverently. And then you can't use
the power
hell.
of Christ compels you.
Yeah, right. You can't even say the word hell, son of a bitch, or just SOB, damn, or God. That was all limited, completely forbidden. No complete nudity. Even dancing was a bit restricted. Just like some funny footloose shit, like dances suggesting or representing sexual actions.
No bumping and grinding.
Yep. And then religion, no film or episode may throw ridicule on any religious faith.
Wow.
Any. Ministers of religion in their character as ministers of religion should not be used as comic characters or as villains. Ceremonies of any definite religion should be carefully and respectfully handled. So with this all in mind...
that's pretty restrictive.
Very restrictive.
What kind of horror movie can you make with those rules?
Exactly.
I wouldn't want to watch that horror movie.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Right.
If
That's why it was Psycho was made in the Hays Code.
Right.
But it had to be very particular about what it was showing and what it wasn't, right? Luckily, these guidelines were later replaced by the MPAA, or the Motion Picture Association of America rating system, which we still have today. But this shift from the Hays Code to the MPAA opened up more opportunities to push these boundaries in a post-war era, especially of counterculture, right? Considering the time there, this is the time of hippies and pushing this needle a bit further. So this is what really opened the floodgates for horror movies like Rosemary's Baby, and then afterwards, like The Exorcist. During the era of the Hays Code, Hollywood filmmakers couldn't portray religion in a negative light, like I was just saying. And you know what's even crazier? I found this out. The Catholic organization, the National Legion of Decency, which is a ridiculous name, was actually...
what you're saying over there. You're offending me.
That was actually a really heavy influence for the Hays Code. So religion really backed everything with the Hays Code. Specific provisions in the code mentioned that, quote, no film or episode should throw ridicule on any religious faith, and like I had mentioned, ceremonies of any definite religion should be carefully and respectfully handled. But starting in 1968, Hollywood could finally address religion, blasphemous topics, and what audiences feared most.
The occult.
The occult. So Rosemary's Baby took full advantage of that and really shocked its audiences with its content that hadn't really been seen before in major US theaters. So a little bit of a spoiler alert, if you're going to watch Rosemary's Baby, just skip ahead a little bit. But the movie is about this woman, Rosemary Woodhouse, played by Mia Farrow, who gets drugged by a demonic coven, including her husband, is then raped by a demon, becomes pregnant, and finds out she's carrying the Antichrist in her womb. The film was given an R rating by the MPAA, and the National Catholic Office for Motion Pictures gave it a C, which stood for condemned. The movie was actually based on a book by the same name, written by Ira Levin in 1967, and this became his biggest success by far, but he later had some mixed feelings about it. He had written it after the founding of the Church of Satan, but felt like it might have contributed to the satanic counterculture of the time. Most of us know that the Church of Satan has a bit less to do with actually worshiping Satan himself and more to do with anti-theism, but many didn't and still don't understand that. And it's funny because Anton LaVey actually started a rumor that he was a technical consultant on the movie and that he was the actor in the devil costume on set, which is funny. Yeah, that was not true at all, but I like the rumor at least.
He wishes he was.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's be honest.
Exactly. Either way, the movement really piggybacked off of the book and the film, and even though author Ira Levin thought the occult like witches and Satan was, in his words, nonsense, he feared that he contributed to that nonsense. He said, "I really feel a certain degree of guilt about having fostered the kind of irrationality." He also said, "I feel guilty that Rosemary's Baby led to The Exorcist, The Omen. A whole generation has been exposed, has more belief in Satan. I don't believe in Satan, and I feel that the strong fundamentalism we have would not be as strong if there hadn't been so many of these books."
That's wild to say.
Isn't that weird?
I feel like the strong fundamentalism we would have not be as strong if there hadn't been.
Yeah, so he felt like he was like radicalizing people through this book.
Yeah. It's a bit insulting.
Yeah.
Come on.
But regardless of Levin's regrets, the 1968 film adaptation went on to become a huge hit and is still considered one of the best horror films ever made. It's also considered one of the most cursed.
Indeed. In the years since its release, many believe the movie was cursed through a long string of odd connections to deaths and misfortunes. One of the more unfortunate but non-lethal things to happen on set was when Mia Farrow, the star of the movie, was served divorce papers in front of the cast and crew. This marked Frank Sinatra's third divorce, and he was 29 years older than Mia Farrow. While this marriage was most likely doomed anyway, its timing with Rosemary's Baby contributed to the idea of a cursed movie. The bottom line was that Frank Sinatra did not like that Mia Farrow had an acting career. He wanted to be the provider, but he did make one exception. He would allow her to keep acting, but only if she acted in movies with him.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. God. Different times.
Yeah.
Polanski made sure that wouldn't happen. Mia Farrow was scheduled to work on one of Sinatra's films, The Detective, after filming Rosemary's Baby. But Polanski dragged out filming for as long as possible, and while filming, he demanded take after take, which caused the film to exceed its original schedule. As the production ran on, Sinatra tried to give Farrow and Rosemary's Baby's producer, Robert Evans, an ultimatum. She could either come work on The Detective or he'd force her to quit Rosemary's Baby. To get Farrow to stay, Robert Evans then showed her an hour of rough cut of the film and told her she was a shoo-in for an Oscar. After seeing the cut, Farrow truly believed in the project, so she decided to stay in production despite her controlling husband, and Frank Sinatra responded by sending her divorce papers on set. Very purposeful, right?
Yeah.
How about I embarrass you?
Yep.
In the end, Farrow didn't win an Oscar, but the movie was later regarded as one of the greatest horror films ever made, and it surpassed Sinatra's The Detective at the box office. Outside the drama on the set, one of the most prominent deaths tied to the movie was the death of its Polish composer, Krzysztof Komoda, who went by Christopher, and his composition from the movie, that's very famous now, has now been sampled in songs and all sorts of other things. Rosemary's Lullaby, sung or really hummed by Mia Farrow, became his most recognizable song. And if you're still hungry,
Always.
I'm always hungry. I'll have 2 meals sometimes. I'll do 2 dinners.
Yeah.
Just
Second dinner.
do second dinner.
The hobbits
just
love
like
that.
second breakfast.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to do anything at all. Like you don't want to cook at all. You just want the easiest possible meal kit that delivers a restaurant quality meal. Then look no further than Tovala. Clearly, the sponsors out there know that these boys eat here at Lights Out.
Yep.
So we're bringing you all the food sponsors, all the meal kit sponsors. Tovala is really cool because it's a smart meal delivery service. So with Tovala, you get this state-of-the-art, it's like the Mercedes-Benz of toaster ovens. It's so much more than a toaster oven, though. It does all these different functions all in one unit. Bake, broil, steam, nuke it, whatever you want to do.
Yes.
Do it all. But Tovala is different because it literally is just putting ingredients, like it's all like pre-measured everything. You just follow like couple steps and you're putting food into little tin pans and then you're sticking in the oven, scanning. It has a scanner on it and it scans the recipe card and it just starts cooking it exactly up to the specification. You know, you could be like, yeah, this was a private chef that came over and chefed this because it comes out that way. And I'm not just saying that. Like, I was actually really impressed. I had this macadamia nut crusted salmon with roasted vegetables, and somehow I cooked the vegetables and the salmon together, and I think it was like 20 minutes, and it was just delicious. I was like, damn, how do you compete? That's the beauty of it. There's literally no mess, no dishes. You could eat out of the pans if you want to.
Like a complete degenerate.
Yeah. It's taking microwave meals to a whole nother level because it's not a microwave meal and nobody wants to eat that and nobody wants to pay for takeout. So get yourself eating better. The recipes are delicious. The quality of the meats and proteins and veggies are next level. And best of all, it's just so easy. You can save so much time. If you're somebody who's like, I just eat out every meal because it's easier. I don't want to deal with like putting groceries away. I don't want to measure anything. I don't want to heat up a pan on the stove.
Yeah, God forbid.
I don't have a stove.
That might be the case.
You never know. Everything's chef crafted, curated. Tastes like a homemade meal.
Yummy.
It's delicious. You should try it.
So for a limited time, because you are a Lights Out listener, you can save up to $300 on the Tovala Smart Oven when you order meals 6+ times by heading to tovala.com/lightsout and use our code LIGHTSOUT. That's up to $300 off when you head to tovala.com/lightsout and use promo code LIGHTSOUT. One last time, that's TOVALA.com, and make sure you use our promo code LIGHTSOUT for up to $300 off the Tovala Smart Oven. Remember, with Tovala, dinner is taken care of.
But Christoph passed away at the age of 37, less than a year after the film's release. Christoph struggled with substance abuse. Even in Polanski's memoir, he mentioned that his composer had injured himself due to alcohol consumption in December 1968. He wrote, Komeda showed up at Paramount looking awful, with 2 black eyes and the bump the size of an egg on his forehead. He'd fallen and hurt himself quite badly while roaming the Hollywood Hills after a late-night binge with Marek Huasko. True to his He-Man image, Huasko had picked him up using a fireman's lift. Then, being even drunker than Komeda, he stumbled and dropped him, injuring him some more.
Oof.
After this injury, Christoph complained of chronic headaches. He visited his doctor, told him nothing was out of the ordinary, but his doctor had fatally missed that Christoph had a hematoma and was internally bleeding in his brain,
Jesus.
which are no joke. A few weeks later, he was hospitalized in a U.S. hospital and fell into a coma. In terminal condition, he was transported to his home country of Poland, where he died in April 1969, 4 months after his injury. The man he was with during his injury, author Marek Huasko, was overcome with guilt after his friend's death, and he died only 2 months later at the age of 35. Although the circumstances surrounding his death are unknown, it was known that he had attempted suicide before, and he also struggled with substance abuse. Reportedly, he may have died from consuming too much alcohol and sedatives, but those who knew him claimed that he would not have taken his own life. Rosemary's Baby is also connected to one of the most notorious crimes in U.S. history, the Manson family murders. On August 9th, 1969, Roman Polanski's pregnant wife, actress Sharon Tate, was murdered by Manson family cult members at their home in LA, along with 4 others. The family committed at least 9 murders in total, and Sharon Tate was stabbed 16 times and hanged with a nylon rope while still alive. She pleaded for the life of her unborn baby, but the family murdered her anyway. They then wrote "pig" on the front door of Polanski's home with Sharon Tate's blood. During the murders, Rosemary's Baby was reportedly still in the theaters. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah. These horrific murders were planned by the infamous Charles Manson. We all know him. He wanted to incite his helter-skelter race war, and he was later sentenced to death, although his sentence was later commuted to a life sentence when the state Supreme Court ruled the death penalty unconstitutional. So Manson, he had believed that the Beatles' White Album contained hidden messages about this impending race war, and Helter Skelter was the name of a famous track on that album. One more connection to the movie and the murders was that the members of the Beatles visited India in 1968, the same year that the movie released. So in India, they studied transcendental meditation, which was becoming much more popular on this side of the globe, and under Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. This is where they met the star of the film, actually. The Beatles ran into Mia Farrow, who was studying the same thing only 2 months after the film production had ended. And the White Album song, Sexy Sadie, was inspired after John Lennon was disturbed by how Yogi allegedly kept making these awkward, weird, creepy sexual advances toward Mia Farrow. But the bizarre connections to Rosemary's Baby, the movie's curse, and the Beatles don't actually end here. In the movie, Rosemary moves into a creepy apartment building called the Bramford. And the exterior shots used were actually of the building called the Dakota. This is a famous luxury apartment building and now a landmark in New York City. It looks kind of like a Germanic castle with some French features, and it sits on the corner of 72nd Street and Central Park West. Built in 1884, so this is a really old building. This beautiful building had been home to many celebrities throughout the years, and this included Judy Garland, Leonard Bernstein, John Madden, Paul Simon, and Lauren Bacall. 2 of its most famous residents, though, were none other than John Lennon and Yoko Ono, who had moved there in 1973. They also gave birth to their son, Sean, a few years later. By December 8th, 1980, John Lennon had been in a big music slump for years and was finally making more music with his wife these days. And that day specifically, they were heading from their apartment to a New York City recording studio, the Record Plant. As Lennon exited the apartment's front door, he was approached by a chubby young man wearing glasses, and the man held out a copy of Double Fantasy, the album that Lennon and Ono had just released the month before. John Lennon then signed the record, went on his way, not realizing that this man would later murder him in almost the exact same spot where he just gave him his signature. Mark David Chapman, very famous name in U.S. history, a former substance abuser and born-again Christian. He had traveled to New York City to murder John Lennon specifically. He had already visited once in October and again in November, but by this time, in December, Chapman finally found him on the steps of the Rosemary Baby's apartment building. That morning, he had left his hotel room with a loaded .38 caliber pistol with hollow point bullets. He left his personal Bible open to the Gospel of John, and after the word John, Chapman wrote Lennon in ink. He then bought a copy of Catcher in the Rye, famously, placed it in his back pocket, and instead of killing John Lennon that first time he saw him, Chapman got cold feet. He just asked for an autograph instead. He then waited for Lennon to return around 10:50 p.m. at night, and Lennon and Ono got out of their limousine, and when Lennon reached the steps of the Dakota, Chapman called out his name, and when John Lennon turned his head to look, Chapman shot him 4 times from about 20 feet away. John Lennon then staggered up 5 steps of the Dakota before collapsing. Chapman dropped the gun, took off his coat, sat down, and began reading Catcher in the Rye until police arrived, while John Lennon bled out on the steps of the famous Dakota apartment building. By the time Lennon had reached Roosevelt Hospital, he was pronounced dead on arrival and had lost 80% of his blood volume. Much of it was lost on the steps of the Dakota luxury apartment building. For decades, even before Lennon's death, the Dakota has been considered a haunted building, and Lennon himself had even reportedly seen a UFO from his apartment window and a ghost inside the Dakota while he was alive, and he referred to the ghost as the Crying Lady. Allegedly, he was murdered not long after seeing her, and his spirit then became one of many spectral residents at this apartment, the Dakota.
Lennon's apparition has been witnessed at the building's entrance, where he died, and witnesses claim he had a strange glow surrounding him. During one sighting, the pair of onlookers did not approach him because he had a disturbed look on his face. Yoko Ono also reportedly saw the apparition of her husband inside their Dakota apartment after his death. He was sitting behind their piano, and he turned to look at her and said, "Don't be afraid, I am still with you." Lennon's ghost is one of many inside the building. Back in 1965, the actress Judy Holliday, a resident of the Dakota, passed away from metastatic breast cancer. After she passed, her apartment was renovated, and while construction workers tore through the walls, many got the feeling that they were being closely watched. They couldn't explain the feeling other than an observation by something that wasn't visible in the room. Other residents and visitors have seen the ghost of a little girl inside the lowest floor windows. She wears an old-fashioned yellow dress, has blonde hair, and is sometimes seen playing with a red ball. She often smiles and waves at residents, and once she came up to a man and told her it was her birthday. Others have seen the ghost of an adult male spirit with the head of a young boy. He has never spoken, he only watches residents from a distance, and when they notice him, he's no longer found. The basement is also believed to house a poltergeist. The entity moves storage items around or even large furniture. In the basement, an electrician, John Paintner, once saw the apparition of a short man with a long nose, a wig, and wire-framed glasses. And this looked exactly like Edward Clark, the man who originally owned the land and ordered the construction of the Dakota back in 1880. He died in 1882 while the Dakota was being constructed, and it's believed he resides in the basement since he never got his wish of seeing the building to its completion. A little bit of paranormal history there for you.
Yeah. The Dakota. I've always wanted to see.
Looks
this
really
building.
cool, yeah.
That's
Check
a
it
beautiful
out.
building. But we're going to move on to the next cursed movie on the list, and it's Richard Donner's 1976 horror movie, The Omen. The movie shocked audiences across the U.S. only a few years after The Exorcist was released. And Danny, I know you just watched this yesterday, right?
I did.
To get into character.
I did, and it doesn't hold up
Yeah.
as much as you hope it would. It's not as good. Horror's evolved a lot since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your cheaper Hollywood horror, conventional horror movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a younger audience could enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Versus Exorcist is R-rated, you know what I mean? Like,
And genuinely terrible.
yeah.
Yeah, The Omen's maybe more of like a teen movie or something.
Like you might take your high school date there.
Right. I saw someone, they said, this doesn't fall into the category of great art. Instead, it's considered great trash. And it was, it's mostly written off as pop entertainment. But while it wasn't as critically acclaimed as The Exorcist or Rosemary's Baby, The Omen gave many moviegoers their first glimpse of what would happen if the Antichrist walked the earth. In the movie, an infant boy, Damien, is taken in by a diplomat and his wife. Disturbing death and misfortune follow him around as he grows older, much like the production of the movie, actually. And here's the producers and director talking about the curse of this film.
All during the picture, there was strange things happening. And it was an aura of not being welcomed. I mean, the devil was I really sincerely believe that the devil didn't want the picture to be made.
If we had been making a comedy, you would have recalled all the funny, great, ridiculous, silly moments that happened in that film. If you were doing a love story, you remember all the times somebody left their wife, another one fell in love, and the granddad body, blah, blah, blah. You're doing The Omen, anything that happens on that film. You don't tell about the jokes, you don't tell about the love stories, you don't even think about it, but you think about anything that coincidentally could have been something to do with The Omen. So we had lots of them.
There were all kinds of incidents during the shooting of this film, and the newspapers thought we made them up.
What do you think about that?
So I think I think Richard Donner, the director, doesn't really buy the
He's
curse.
a big skeptic.
Yeah. I don't think he buys it, but I think some of the other guys definitely did buy it. And we'll get to hear from actually one of the priests a bit later on it too. But I don't know. There is quite a lot of crazy, if they are just coincidences, there are some crazy coincidences for this movie. So the earlier signs of a cursed film came very early into production. And in September 1975, the lead actor Gregory Peck, whose son had just passed away from suicide that June, he caught a flight to London to begin filming. During the flight, the airplane was struck by lightning. Luckily, no one was harmed, and this isn't too out of the ordinary since passenger planes are struck by lightning a few times a year. So you might just be saying, whatever, this is a coincidence. But it does not end here. Soon after this, executive producer Mace Neufeld's plane also was struck by lightning on its way to LA, and he said it was his roughest 5 minutes. Possibly a coincidence even still, but after that, screenwriter David Seltzer's plane was also struck by lightning, and for the rest of the production, David wore a cross around his neck, and he said the devil was at work, and he didn't want that film to be made. Producer Harvey Bernhard was then almost struck by lightning on the street while working on the film in Rome, where the Omen movie begins. It gets even crazier from here because while no one was harmed in the first several flight mishaps, the same really couldn't be said for another private jet that was connected to this film. So this jet was meant to take Gregory Peck to Israel to film an action sequence, and the shooting was delayed so the flight was canceled, but the cast and crew soon got news that that same jet, on the day it was scheduled to take Peck to Israel, got caught in a flock of birds, causing the engines to fail, and crashed into the road near the airfield. Everyone in the plane died, and what's even worse is that 3 others were killed when the plane crashed into a car that was on the road. And even worse than that, they were later identified as the pilot's wife and 2 children. Oh, holy hell, man. That's crazy. Freak accidents and misfortune continued to follow around the cast and crew, and one evening, Mace Neufeld and Gregory Peck planned on going to a restaurant where they had dinner reservations, only to hear that the restaurant had been bombed by the IRA, and director Richard Donner's hotel was also bombed not long after this.
And he still says he thinks it's just a coincidence?
Yeah, he doesn't believe.
Yeah. And just the day before, the cast and crew shot the infamous baboon scene. They were in the Windsor Safari Park for a terrifying scene where inside a car, Damien and his mother are attacked by wild baboons. To instigate the other baboons, the crew had placed one of the male baboons into the back of the vehicle, which is wild.
They don't make movies like this anymore.
No. During filming, Lee Remick, who played Damien's mother in the film, was driving the vehicle. It suddenly stalled, and the baboon saw their opportunity to try to save the male in the back seat. They're like, hey, give him back. Reportedly, the baboons hadn't also been fed, so they were even more aggressive than usual. They're hungry and they want their friend back. The baboons charged at the vehicle, causing actress Lee Remick to truly fear for her life. Genuine fear can be seen on her face in the movie. To correct the situation, the film's animal handler was able to calm the baboons down.
Thank God.
Hopefully fed them.
Yeah.
Earlier in the day, the cast and crew had shot a scene with several lions near the big cat enclosure, but the scene was not used in the final cut of the movie. After the production moved over to the baboon section, some of the lions later broke into one of the animal handler's booths and mauled the man to death.
Damn.
Some reports claim the lion then ate the man. Another death connected to the production was of Liz Moore. She was not working on The Omen, but she was dating a man who is John Richardson, a special effects assistant. After his work on The Omen, the couple both went to work on a movie, A Bridge Too Far, and while John was driving his BMW with Liz Moore in the passenger seat, they were involved in a head-on collision with another vehicle, and Liz Moore was decapitated and killed instantly. Horribly tragic. Coincidentally, John Richardson had worked on The Omen's decapitation scene, where a man is beheaded by a sheet of glass.
It kind of reminds me of like a Final Destination type of death.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
A random piece of glass comes loose and takes one's head off. That is eerily weird, though, that there was a similar death later on.
Right.
Although in real life.
What are the chances?
Yeah. And as the story goes, after waking up from the accident, still in the wreckage, John allegedly saw a road sign that read, Omen, O-M-M-E-N, 66.6 kilometers, which Omen is a city in the Netherlands. This was later disproved, since mile markers in the Netherlands don't have decimal points, but these white lies might have been made up by the cast and crew to create some mystique around the movie for potential marketing purposes. Even the screenwriter David Seltzer admitted he only wrote the screenplay for a check. He said, I did it strictly for the money. I was flat broke. It's very pleasant not having to worry about grocery bills for the first time in my life. I just wish I had this kind of success with something I personally found meaningful. I do find it horrifying how many people believe all this silliness. Here's another clip of director Richard Donner and his religious advisor Robert Munger talking about whether or not they believe the movie was actually cursed.
We had all these things happen. Are they omens? Because is there something bigger? I say no, it's just incredible coincidence. There are those that would like to think about it and that it's something more. And when the publicity department and Fox got their hands on it, we all said, yes, it's the Omen because we're selling our movie.
I must admit that at first I thought, well, this is a really exciting idea, but I really don't believe in the devil. Even though I'm a Christian, I don't believe in the devil. I don't believe my salvation depends on believing in the devil. I think it depends on believing in Jesus Christ. And I told that to a famous theologian I was having dinner with one night. And he said, look, he says, if you guys go ahead and make this movie, before you are done, you will believe the devil exists. And he was absolutely right, because as I'm sure the other fellows have told you, so many bizarre things happen. It's almost as if somebody didn't want this picture to be made, because the number one lie of the devil is that he doesn't exist.
So it's crazy that the priest was convinced by the end of the making of this movie.
Yeah. I wonder if he knows about the street sign not being necessarily proven.
Yeah, true. I think the lightning strikes and the plane going down there's
a lot though here. There's absolutely a lot here that would suggest, but it's like, I don't know, it's hard, right? Because there's been a lot worse movies since then that you would absolutely walk away, but like, that movie is fucked. It is cursed. Everybody a part of that is absolutely going home with some shit.
Yeah. I mean, that is the funny part about the things like The Exorcist, where it's a cursed movie, but then it's been extremely successful though. So like, I don't know, does a cursed movie, does it still have the potential to be like extremely successful? Is the money somehow connected to the curse? I have no idea, but
does the devil infuse it with some cash,
magic?
Some currency?
Yeah.
So that it does better and gets out to more. I mean, if you think about it that way, it would make sense.
Exposing more people to Satan, yeah.
But do people walk away from watching these movies being like, I want to be like that. I want more of that.
I want to be possessed.
Yeah, I want to be possessed. I'm going to turn my life to the occult.
Right.
You know, like, I think most people go into it of like, this is entertainment. This is you go into it for the thrills and chills, right?
Right.
You're not going into it of like, I hope I'm converted to
I hope my
a black magic practitioner after or a Satanist or something.
Yeah,
because that's the thing. There's a lot of money at stake here with these movies,
right?
And especially and it makes sense that we'd be talking about movies like The Exorcist, The Omen, the Poltergeist movie Curse, talking about that whole thing as well with the Poltergeist. It's like these were kind of the historical pillars of horror. And it was like really probably a time of like they had to make this shit work, or maybe it wouldn't have worked long term. You know, maybe they wouldn't have done as well if they didn't sort of have lore around them.
Right.
Because it's like you think about today, like even when just researching, if you start researching cursed movies, you come back to the same ones, right?
Cycle. Yeah, there's like only a handful. Yeah.
And I know like Shudder, the streaming platform, they have a series called Cursed Films.
Yeah.
But even when you look at their series, they're talking about many of the same films that we mentioned today, and maybe a few like one-off things. But you would think that if this idea that a film could be cursed is real, there's a lot of films that probably the three of us have seen in recent years that you would feel like probably have the capacity to
be cursed,
leave some marks on people, you know, whether it's in your pants or, you know, like there's I mean, it's just, I don't know. But again, it's like, what's the last like good possession movie though? Like really good possession. Like you don't see those as much, I feel like.
I would argue that like it's not conventional. It's not like with the priests and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like Talk to Me was in a way a possession case. You know, you like to communicate with the dead, but then it would go haywire and then they would be kind of controlled by whatever like dead entity or spirit, whatever it was. So in like a more unconventional way, I would say Talk to Me would be kind of like a possession movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
It's a little older movie, but The Taking of Deborah Logan.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's
that was
good.
on Shudder too, actually. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Well, you don't hear about any like, you would think that horror films would continue doing that. So that's like where people might say, maybe those films really were cursed, because you'd be like, how come they're not happening to these other films now?
Yeah.
But maybe they're just not talking about things. You know, I'm sure they've had their mishaps or accidents or whatever on the scenes of some of these movies, but they're not like using that as marketing tools, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and I do know other horror movies have used like tactics like to scare audiences outside of the film, like with their marketing to entice them, like Cannibal Holocaust from the 1980s. Yeah. The director was actually arrested a couple days after the movie came out because they thought all the deaths were real. But it turns out he had actually had the actors sign a contract saying they couldn't appear in media for 1 year after the film's release to help kind of psych everybody up. So once the police found that out, obviously the charges were dismissed, but like he was willing to go to those lengths just to sell the film. So like in my mind, I'm kind of like, and that was back in 1980. So I'm like, what could these other directors do? They just kept hush-hush.
The Blair Witch Project did something like similar where everyone thought it was this real documentary where they even told the actors, they're like, we're going to use your real name and likeness and everything, even in like side documentary stuff. Like they had special features where they're going and interviewing, and it's like, Josh can't look me in the eye. But people were like, oh my God, this is real, because all the actors, it was like their real names or whatever. And then they would like interview their local priest, and they made it all seem like this footage that they found was real footage somewhere they found in the forest. That was then, here's the true found footage movie to make it seem real.
I feel like a lot of the found footage horror movies are the ones that kind of lean into this. Like they take the idea of based on a true story and just run with it the whole way.
But are they cursed?
Yeah, not really.
Well, it probably depends on what you believe too. Do you believe you can even be cursed, or things can be cursed? Can works of art be cursed? Or is it strictly like who's actually cursed in these movies? Is it the actual work of art, or is it the actors and actresses that are cursed? Like what's actually being cursed here?
We did the cursed paintings before too.
Yeah.
This show's cursed. I mean, I think there's something to it. I definitely think there's a possibility. I think that when you bring these things to life, it manifests in the way that isn't necessarily like the theological way that we think of it, in the way that like Catholicism, as a father of Catholicism myself, it doesn't sort of manifest in that way, but it's rather it's in a weird, I think it's more to do with energy, right? Like I think it's you're manifesting positive or negative energy, and I think these things can natively manifest into sort of this energy that's connected through all things in all of us. And I think sometimes there's something weird and unexplained about the way that works that we don't fully get yet, that is in turn what we call a curse, something being a curse or something being possessed. And it's just, we don't have a way to define it or measure it yet. And so we use the terms and things that are available to us that, are a lot of it's very old and has been around a long, long time. And obviously religion has created its own definitions to define it. And I think it's evident in a lot of different ways. I think it's evident throughout this show that we've experienced things, and they don't, would I go as far as say it's cursed? Not necessarily. I don't know. And I'm not cursed, certainly. At least I hope not.
That's what a cursed person would say.
Yeah.
I swear, guys. I
exactly.
swear.
And speaking of curse, we're going to do an episode in the future. I came across this guy who kind of explores this whole idea of a curse, or, can you become possessed? Do these things really work? And he sets out and he created a documentary testing this theory out. It goes all over the world and allows people to place curses, perform black magic on him. And it's got a very interesting take on all of this, because I think that it's easy to sort of get wrapped in the like woo woo of it, right? You're just like, oh, like I think it's there, but like when you actually put it into action, and you actually like go and experience it, it's a whole other thing. So I think we'll absolutely explore that more, because I think it's something that we just don't fully understand yet. And it's not as simple and cut and dry as people think it is. So these films though, I don't know. I think there might be something to it, but it's impossible to say how would we even define these being cursed? What cursed it?
Right?
The devil, Satan.
Was it? Yeah. Was it someone behind it? Yeah.
Was there somebody who placed a curse on the movie while it was being made? So it's like, curse or coincidence? What do you think? What do you think? You think this is coincidence?
I don't know. I think it's kind of easy to write it off as like, okay, they always have ulterior motives of marketing. That's an easy slam dunk just to disregard every single thing on this. Is just be like, they want to make money, so they're going to build this mystique and this lore. It's easy to say that. I don't know. I think it is weird that something as horrific as like even Charles Manson being and his murders being connected even in an indirect way through this, or just like the death of John Lennon. And is it just a coincidence that just people die, so it's like 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, where you can kind of tie any tragedy to any movie. Probably if you try hard enough, you can connect certain dots. But that's, I don't know, to me, what stood out maybe more than most of the other things is like, if we're taking it at face value, if we're taking it as truth and we're playing it as it lies, I think all the plane accidents connected to the Omen, something like that kind of sticks out to me, because it's coincidence up into a point where we're like, this is like the 5th time something like this is happening. It doesn't feel like a coincidence anymore.
The lightning strikes, I mean, that's a really rare occurrence in itself. Plane crashes are rare occurrences.
Right.
And you have multiple people involved with this project that are impacted by that. That's pretty weird.
But it's like if you just wanted to say, okay, people are dying. Yeah, the people die all the time and you can connect it. So that's why something more specific like that sticks out to me, at least. I mean, sets being burned down, something like that, mishaps. I don't know. What were the fire regulations of these movie studios? You can ask a million different questions and disregard so much about it, but
how these are, it's probably fairly common for things like that to happen on movie sets,
Yeah, a fire breaks
like
out.
There's probably a mishap on the movie Free Willy.
Yeah.
I mean,
the first whale died. Who knows?
There's tons. I mean, you could just look into accidents in Hollywood. I mean, Disney movies have had accidents and tragic things happen. Would you say Disney movies are cursed because somebody died on the set of a Disney movie? Had nothing to do with the devil or hell or Satan,
Right.
So I think that's from like a skeptical perspective where people be like, guys, people die everywhere, as you said, like across all films genres. Right. And to Donner's point, he's like, when you're working on a horror movie, what's going to stick out to you? The jokes, the funny things, the hugs and kisses that happened on set. No, it's going to be the bad things that happen because you're inherently focused on this like negative story, you know, like, so those things are just top of mind for you.
Yeah. I do. I mean, that kind of plays still even into your theory of like just negative energies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because often with horror movies, we're not talking about really positive stuff. We are digging deeper into some really terrifying things. So are we manifesting that around the movie? Or are we just more hypersensitive to it because these are the negative things that are on all of our minds? So we do connect those dots a bit easier when we're in negative spaces? Possibly. I don't know. What defines a curse at the end of the day?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what it really comes down to. What do you, I mean, and you could interpret it a million different ways, right? Everybody's got a different version of what they think a curse means.
Yeah, because who's to say that a curse isn't just a series of coincidences too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, it could be defined a lot of different ways. But Danny, what do you think? Where are you at with this? You think these movies are cursed?
No, I don't think they're cursed.
Oh,
I hate
boo.
Come on, Damien.
I do agree with Austin that the one that does stand out to me is the planes. I think that is just statistically, it's quite the anomaly.
Yeah.
Would I say it's cursed? No. I mean, movies are such large productions generally that take over a span of so much time. There's bound to have accidents. I mean, in The Lord of the Rings, there were injuries.
Yep.
Daniel Radcliffe's stunt double in Harry Potter he got in that horrific accident and now he's permanently disabled. There's all these horrible things that happen across all different movies. So I think it does kind of come with the territory of it being a horror movie, and that's what you focus on. You focus on the dark things. Like, can you name a joke from Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
No, I cannot, sir.
But you can probably name, or at least think about a couple of the kills, right? Because that's what we watch them for. We watch it for the dark aspect. We don't watch it for the laughs and the love. And
not with weapons.
That's
weapons
true.
had a few laughs.
Actually, yeah, a lot of good laughs.
It was actually like pretty funny,
especially towards the end.
Yeah.
Go watch Weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Well, what I want to know, and I think I've looked for this, I couldn't find it. So if any of you internet sleuths out there, has there been a study of looking at all of the movies made, what genre has the most freak accidents, injuries, deaths connected to the production of that film? Like, that'd be interesting to look at. If you look at all of the genres,
like compiled data.
Yeah, like a compiled data from each of the film sets. Like, if there's, I don't know if that's even reported or like, who knows if that's even data out there that can be collected.
I was also thinking of like, what were the regulations back then compared to now, right? What are the safety regulations back then?
Yeah.
So I can imagine like a whole set burning down in a warehouse might have happened, maybe in the 1970s that wasn't that random, but I feel like now we'd have, okay, you get water sprinklers every, whatever it is, 10 feet installed, or, I don't know, maybe regulations also play into some of the mishaps of what if they were just playing it more fast and loose back in the 70s compared to how they play it today? Maybe we're not throwing our actresses down into the dresser set and hitting their tailbones as hard as like we do now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it could just be an evolution of the industry. They've made it safer, and there's probably more liability.
Right.
I bet.
Exactly. Insurance costs probably. I mean, I know, speaking of Hereditary, where he's smashing his face down in the desk, the actor actually wanted to genuinely smash his face down into the desk, but the director, Ari Aster, was like, no, we're going to put some padding down. We can't have one of our actors smashing their faces in here. That's because he was kind of going method with it. But it's like, no, man, this is just a theatrical production here. We don't need to harm anyone or ourselves.
Right.
So then maybe the mindset back then was a bit different.
And the introduction of CGI.
Yeah.
True.
So the ability to basically create anything without an actor at all.
Yeah, harming anything. Yeah,
probably has made movie sets far safer. I mean, they're also not out a lot of times on location or a dangerous location that they were before. Yeah, exactly.
Or like baboons. We wouldn't.
It would have been CGI baboons.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's changed the way that everything sort of turns out and makes sense. I mean, it makes you wonder, where will things be 10, 15, 20 years from now?
Right.
Will there be even an actor?
It's all AI generated. It's all fake.
You don't even need humans involved anymore.
It's all. Count me out. I
it's like,
watch that.
It's going to lose the human touch.
Yeah.
But maybe there won't be any curses.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it'll be zero.
Can robots be cursed?
It's a good question.
They can have viruses.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Malware.
Yeah.
They figure out ancient magic or something.
Josh, I was looking, I was doing a little bit of research on the question you asked about what is the most dangerous genre of films to produce. And I didn't find that, but I did find a list of the most dangerous
let's hear it.
movies. And on here, there's some ones that kind of make sense. There's The Wizard of Oz with the asbestos and the fake snow. There's The Interview with Seth Rogen and James Franco.
What happened there?
From what it says.
That's the North Korea movie, right?
That's The Passion of the Christ. Okay.
Wait, tell us about that.
Yeah.
So with The Passion of the Christ, while playing the role of Jesus in Mel Gibson's 2004 film The Passion of the Christ, actor Jim Caviezel suffered numerous injuries, including gashes on his back from scripted whippings, hypothermia, and a separated shoulder after carrying the cross. But the one that stuck out to me,
just abusing that guy.
Yeah.
Damn.
But the one that stuck out to me the most is actually the top on this list, obviously, and it's called Roar, and it's an Australian adventure comedy, and they brought 100 lions, tigers, and other exotic cats to their California ranch to live among them to film.
That sounds like a great idea.
The project resulted in 70 animal attacks, facial reconstructive surgery for Griffith, and the dissolution of Hedren and Marshall's marriage.
Oh my.
Holy.
70 animal attacks.
What were they doing, these poor cats?
Apparently,
they have them all in one area?
On the poster, it says no animals were harmed in the making of this film, but 70 cast and crew members were.
Jeez.
What year was that?
1980 was the release date.
Yeah, I wonder. So at 1980,
Yeah.
would something like that? I think the government would shut that down, right?
Well, look at where Tiger King's at.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
We just culturally, we wouldn't let that fly
Yeah.
either.
No, exactly.
Right? That's just insane.
But that's not a horror film.
It's not a horror film. I personally think that the movies that would probably have the most injuries are going to be the ones with the most stunts.
Yeah.
That would make the most, like,
Mission
action
Impossible.
movies, Mission Impossible,
or
movies like that.
Yeah.
Marvel movies,
Yeah. Well, those are all CGI.
I mean, even then, I know,
Sure.
I know insurance companies, like, the insurance rates are so high now that, like, things like you watch old Jackie Chan movies or something where I think it's Police Story, where he does that huge final stunt inside the mall where he's like flying down, the lights are exploding and he's like descending on that wire. And I'm like, I don't even think they would allow people to really do this anymore. I think insurance people would be like, we're not.
You wouldn't be able to
gonna
get that
insure you
insured.
for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even from that point, from when that movie came out to way back in the silent film era, like Buster Keaton, there's nobody doing what Buster Keaton did anymore.
Yeah.
Like back when safety regulations were a joke.
Right. Because like the iconic scene where he's like standing there and then the whole house wall.
Yeah, the whole front of it.
But he goes straight through the window. It's like, yeah, he would have just died.
Yeah, I think
missed.
that like facade house weighed like 2 tons.
Yeah, that's insane to me.
God.
Where he's like on trains
Yeah,
while they're
right.
moving and stuff, crawling
yeah.
around him. It's nuts.
So I don't know. I don't think movies are cursed so much as they are just dangerous to produce to a certain extent. But that's just my opinion as the godless heathen.
What about psychological damage?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
What about the unspoken effects of movies? Like, I want to like get in the head of like some of these horror directors. You know what I mean? Like, what's the name of Terrifier's director?
Damien Leone.
Yes, thank you, Damien Leone. I want to like get in his head and see what's going on in
Dude,
there.
honestly.
Like, how do you come up with this shit? Like, is there something wrong with you, or is this just creativity? Like, what is this? You know,
Yeah,
is
it's true.
he possessed by a demon? Like, what's going on? I don't
You guys
know.
ever seen the movie Audition?
I've heard of it. I haven't
Yeah,
seen that one.
Takashi Miike, I believe he's a Japanese director. There are some scenes in that I'm like, yeah, what? This is some dark
where it's like
place you have
dark
to
shit.
go to. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like I have a pretty strong stomach, but when I watch a movie like that where I'm actually getting queasy, she takes like a piano wire. She's like sawing through people's limbs. Kitty, 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 kitty. And I'm like, this is making me queasy. I consider myself to have a pretty strong stomach here. I don't know how this guy is thinking of stuff like this, but
are they just asking for bad things to happen when you're making that kind of stuff? Like, and that's like what people would say who, you know, if you think about people who are religious or like thinking about my parents and upbringing and things like that and thinking about their perspectives on, like, think about what's your parents' perspective on horror films? Like,
yeah. Funny enough, like, so yeah, my mom is Catholic. My dad is actually Church of Christ from Texas, but he would come to church with us, but he never got baptized in the Catholic faith. Funny enough, my mom was the one to show me like The Shining.
Really?
Yeah. She like introduced me to that movie, when I was a teenager. And I was like, this is one of the best movies ever. So I think but there was a mom of a student that we couldn't watch like Harry Potter on a bus. We were going to I think we were going to New York City for some band trip or something. And one of the moms was like, we can't watch Harry Potter because that's like the devil's work. It's fantasy.
See, cult. Yeah, it's cult content.
She was considered the outlier. Mm-hmm. We were kind of like, look, this mom is lame as hell because we were. So I feel like the Catholic Church, I don't know, at least my community growing up, we weren't as paranoid that media was this corrupting thing. I mean, my mom definitely, though, she introduced me to things at appropriate ages, I would say.
Yeah.
But she didn't shy away from like, you are never allowed to watch something like this.
She never was like, this will open you up to the dark forces of the enemy.
No. It was more like, we're going to have fun watching Jack Nicholson go crazy in this hotel.
So she could appreciate like cinema and actors and like, my parents were literally trying to convince me that Jim Carrey was evil and that I was not allowed to watch The Grinch because it was evil. No joke. Like,
wow.
And like to be fair, my parents have chilled the fuck out like in the last 10 years. But like when I was growing up, it was like, I feel like I was like Little House on the Prairie, like my parents tried to shelter me to the utmost extent. They would use a website that still exists today that's put on by this organization focused on the family. And they would use that. They would type in, if I want to go see a movie with my friends, they would type it into this website.
Damn.
And they'd get the Christian review on it. And they'd basically have like a verdict on it on whether or not your son or daughter should watch this movie. And if it got a bad review on there, or music as well, they would be like, absolutely not. No. And so then it ultimately came back to like, the only movies I could watch were PG, or some type of Christian film.
So even if you were like 17?
Yes, they still were trying to do that. And at that point, I was just like, good luck trying to stop me.
I'm going to watch it anyway.
I had a little portable DVD player that I got from a friend, and I would like hold it under my covers in my bed. I'd go to sleep and I'd watch all sorts of shit under the covers in my room when I was like 16, 17 years old.
Josh was watching like a bootleg of a Serbian film.
Oh my God. Jesus. Yeah. No, it was more like date movie, and like it was like, that was like when I first got introduced to like Texas Chainsaw and the classics, and started watching that and getting scared shitless. Especially like if you hadn't been exposed to anything before, like that shit really rocked me.
Yeah.
And then over the year, like I think that's really, this suppression that I experienced really is what propelled me into this, like why I do the shows, because I'm fascinated and interested in this side of life, and the dark and all of this. And
I feel like it's demystified too. Like because when you suppress that, like your parents being like, you can't even access this, your imagination kind of runs like, oh my God, what type of demonic shit could this possibly be? But then when you crawl over the fence and then you kind of see what's over there, the more you familiarize yourself with that type of content and you see that, okay, mostly we're just here for harmless fun, like The Shining or something. We're just here for a really good piece of art, a great film, good acting, based on, the Stephen King novel. You see that we're telling stories. It kind of demystifies that like really dark element to it.
Yeah, even the Conjuring franchise.
Yeah.
I'll forever love the Conjuring franchise because the very first time I saw The Conjuring, loved it. Just absolutely like just immersed in it. And I was like, this is amazing. Like that really like just grabbed me and then just kind of pointed me all these other ways. And then you realize, well, it's like when you've been told, if I watch this, because I remember there was a couple times growing up where through my teenage years, do you guys remember that movie called The Ruins?
Yeah.
You remember that? I think it was like back in 13.
Yes, I watched.
Or no, like 2008. 2008.
Yeah, I watched that at my friend Ben Nagel's house. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the theater. I think that was one of the very first horror movies I saw like in a theater. And going into it, I was like super anxious and super worried because in the back of my mind, I hear my parents. I'm like, if they find out that I've gone to this, like they're gonna be upset. Am I also opening myself up to these demonic forces? Like, because I was still like when I was still kind of in it, you know what I mean? And when you have those fears and stuff, like everything gets amplified
for sure. Yeah.
And those types of movies really hit. You walk away and you're like, did I
open myself to
enter
something?
My body during it, And so it's just, I don't know, it's been an interesting ride. And I think what I've learned is that you can immerse yourself in this world and you can learn about all this stuff and you can get deeply entrenched in it. As we do on the show every week, we're deeply entrenched in some type of dark subject matter. And I think, at least for me, and I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I've walked away without any permanent scarring or any like permanent damage at this point from the content or curses or anything like that.
No, I feel like I've been made a bit more well-rounded. I feel like I've learned a lot. I mean, yeah, we do get down in the dark sewers there some weeks. But no, I feel like I don't think I've opened myself up to anything like that, like negative. If anything, it makes me not take for granted the good things that I have in my life, Yeah. Selfishly, at least.
Yeah.
It does that.
What about you, Danny?
Honestly, I've been a huge horror fan all my life. I've always been interested in the macabre ever since I was a kid. I mean, my favorite horror movie of all time is the original Halloween. I have a black cat named Omen. So like this is very much up my alley. So I'm not going to say I enjoy all of the content of our episodes because it is dark and it does, there are some weeks where, some episodes hit harder than others, but I don't feel like I've opened myself up to any sort of negativity or any sort of like spiritual energy that's impacting me in any sort of meaningful way. I feel like sometimes episodes just kind of bum me out and I need to watch a puppy and a kitten fight over the same slipper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think what we, at least the three of us, I think all agree on is like the real traumatizing horror is the real story, is like the real life human perpetrated stuff. That's the stuff that really sticks with me. And I find popping up in my mind in random points of the day of just remembering like what human beings are capable of doing to each other is the most terrifying thing of all. I mean, and the paranormal seems relatively tame most of the time. There's again, I think there's like maybe one death that people connect to the paranormal, but it's like you got thousands and millions of deaths, that you can attribute to humans. So
you're not locking your doors at night because of ghosts.
Right.
I'm welcoming the ghosts. I leave the window open. Come in. I'm waiting for my the apparitions to show up.
I like how we were getting deep about our content here, and I'm sitting here looking like a jackass.
Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed Reagan over here. Beautiful. And Damien, we have to wrap up so I can go exercise them and bring them back to the people I know and love.
Yeah, it's about to get violent once these cameras turn on.
Yeah.
But let us know your thoughts on all this. I know we took a little sidetrack there at the end, but it's all interconnected and interesting. And I think I'm curious what you out there think. Like, do you believe these films were cursed? Do you think there's other films that weren't mentioned that are cursed? Would love to know. Or are you kind of similar perspectives to us? We definitely want to know. And I want to bless each and every one of you out there. May God be with you and bless you.
And keep you.
We'll see you guys next week. Till then, lights out.
Everybody.